Hello, hi there, Steve Kaufmann. I'm getting ready now to pack and travel to Portugal and Spain with my wife, our 40th anniversary trip, which I'm really looking forward to. Going to work on my Portuguese. My hair's a little longer because I'm looking forward to going to a Portuguese barbershop and hopefully picking up on the conversation. Probably an illusion, but who cares? I want to do two quick videos this morning. This one's going to be about Moses McCormick and open-mindedness. And I'm going to do another one about reading and literacy and topics related to that. I want to do a video about Moses McCormick. He also calls himself Lao Shu, which is rat in Chinese. He's has studied Chinese, I gather, for I think at university. But what I want to say about Moses is there are a group of us, I would call them language exhibitionists, who will post videos of themselves speaking foreign languages on YouTube. Moses is one, I'm one, Professor Alexander Argelies has done so, Luca out of Italy, Stu J. Ray, and there are many more. Very few of them attract much traffic, so we're lucky to get past 1,000 for any one of our videos. So it's a form of exhibitionism, but I think it's because we believe that language learning is not that big a deal. And I think we all feel that it's made into far too much of an academic, difficult subject with teachers and linguists falling all over each other, coming up with new terms, and all of which takes away from the enjoyment of learning another language. And if people did enjoy it more and felt more confident, they'd probably learn better. Now, where Moses stands out, if I compare his achievements to mine or Stu J. Ray or others, Moses, like I was born in Sweden and at age 5 moved to Canada. I forgot my Swedish, but that was then I had English as a second language. I grew up in Montreal. I largely didn't pay much attention to the French that was around me till I was well past the age of 16, but it was there if I wanted it. Then I was sent to China, to Hong Kong to learn Chinese, and I lived in Japan. And so I got a real head start into learning languages. I think Professor Argelies lived in Korea for a while. Luca lives in Italy, but he travels to Spain. Stuart J. Ray, I think, is also of some, has, parents of different linguistic backgrounds and so forth and so on. That's not the case with Moses. Moses grew up in a unilingual English environment and just got turned on to languages, in his late teens. So point number one, this whole business about, you have to be born there, you have to have this, you have to have that, I don't believe it. I mean, I know lots of people who have learned one language and who grew up in a unilingual environment. The second thing about Moses is Moses doesn't just speak 3 or 4. Like he speaks, I don't know the number, 12 or 15. Now, there are those who, the minute he posts one of these videos, if his accent isn't 100% perfect and if he makes the odd mistake, they're all over him as criticizing him for not being perfect. You don't have to be perfect. That's what I love about Moses. He's not afraid to put up a video of himself, but he is very good. He is very good in a lot of languages that are not related. Estonian, I can't speak for Moang or whatever language that was, or Swahili. I don't speak those languages, but in Russian and Chinese and Japanese, he's very, very good. Now, obviously, if you're going to go after 10 or 15 languages, you're not going to be perfect in any of them. And I think it's more fun to not be perfect in 15 than to be perfect in 1 or 2. You can't be perfect anyway. So, but the big thing about Moses, and I recommend you can Google Moses McCormick language or something, you'll find references to him. You can go and look for him in YouTube. He did a YouTube video recently where he talked about open-mindedness. And I think that's a very interesting video to watch. Moses has a sort of a folksy, rambling style. He's probably less, intellectual, academic than Professor Argelies or I am, for that matter. Stu J. Ray is more kind of emotions and whatever. But he has a rambling, folksy style, which is a very effective style. Because we learn from stories and we learn from examples. So he's a story, he's an example, and listening to him is very interesting. And his story is And what he stresses is that the key is open-mindedness. And he grew up in, as he describes it, what did he call them? The projects. The projects, which are these areas in many towns in the United States where social planners built the sort of low-cost housing project where people would presumably, have cheap housing and I don't know, it's supposed to solve a perceived social problem, but probably created more than it solved. The point he makes is that the people who live in those projects don't have open minds, so that they are stuck in the culture. And in some ways, and that's not for me to criticize, but it's not a very constructive culture. Those people, there's a lot of violence, a lot of drug abuse. They tend not to there's a lot of stress and conflict and violence and stuff, and not a very satisfactory situation. And that's what they're surrounded with, and then to them, that's the norm. And so they don't have a sense of wanting to pursue something outside that. They don't have an open mind. And he was able, because he was turned on by some friends, he all of a sudden discovered other things beyond his little community there. And that's what led him to languages. And I think open-mindedness is such an important element in language learning. The thought that there are other languages out there that could be of interest, whether I need them for business or not, of interest, can enrich my life. The thought that I can learn them, the thought that I want to communicate with those people, all those are indications of an open mind. And it's not just Moses' background in the projects where you have people who live in a little tribal ghetto where you don't have open-mindedness. We see this everywhere. It can be, when I grew up in Montreal, the English-Canadian community, very well off, living in Montreal, didn't bother learning French. They were not open-minded. They were not open or interested in learning French. Who needs it? We have problems in Canada. We have, similar to the projects, a lot of the native communities, they're not open-minded. They have their own sort of social structure, which is also quite destructive. And we have this in different social groups in Canada where you have this sort of generational welfare situation. Now, the social workers will come along and say this is just their culture, their lifestyle, it's great, but they aren't really happy there. And so to get out of that does require a sort of a sense of open-mindedness. It's the same in the UK, which has the lowest level of foreign language learning of any country in Europe. And they justify it on the basis of the fact that everybody else speaks English, so why need we bother? Again, they're not open-minded. So I'm not saying, and I've often said that I don't like to say that people who don't speak 2 or 3 languages are bad people. But those that would like to speak more languages, try to be open-minded. Learn from Moses. Not the one in the Bible, by the way. Believe you can do it. If you are vaguely interested in learning a language, don't get discouraged the first time it's a little difficult. Try to find fun ways of doing it. Have fun with it. That's the other thing about Moses. He has fun with it. He's a teacher. He teaches people. I'm not sure whether he teaches the language or he teaches how to learn, but he teaches by example. He teaches because he has fun with it. And you can have fun with it. And it can bring you a lot. And so I just wanted to mention this because Moses has these videos, which I can't say that I've looked at them all, but the ones that I have looked at, I've enjoyed. And I think he, as a storyteller, an inspiration, teacher, motivator, is probably more effective than a lot of language teachers with credentials and who have studied linguistics and so forth. People need to see and hear and be inspired by positive examples and by examples of people who, not blessed with the best of circumstances starting out, have managed somehow to open their minds up to language. So that's my little rant here on Moses, and I encourage you to go look for him at YouTube, and I think I might post a link on my blog, the Linguist on Language blog. Thank you for listening, and if you're listening, Moses, hello there, and one day if I'm in Akron or Ohio or wherever you hang out, maybe we can have a bowl of Thai noodles together. Thank you. Bye for now.